Bitcoin outperforms in every crisis. I think the last 7, so you've got the US-Iran escalation, COVID outbreak, Russia invades Ukraine, US banking crisis, yen carry trade unwind, Trump's Liberation Day, and the Iran conflict, that original start to it, not the escalation that was in 2020. I mean, Bitcoin's outperformed in all of them. I think Bitcoin is some combination of technology plus fiat liquidity. It is technology. It is better technology. It does grow with traditional tech trends like growth of the network, growth of new addresses. So it is technology, but a lot of its price is actively driven by currency debasement and fiat liquidity.
This is undoubtedly one of the most pivotal times in modern history. Geopolitical tensions are escalating, financial systems are being stress-tested in real time, artificial intelligence is reshaping entire industries overnight, and the very foundation of money itself is being questioned. The global order is fracturing right in our faces, and it seems no one is doing anything to stop everything from going up in flames. In the latest episode of his weekly podcast, Strike CEO Jack Mallers points out something really incredible about Bitcoin's performance over the past few months. Despite not performing as expected, Bitcoin has managed to outperform amid every chaotic event. Banks have failed. Governments are printing at historic levels. Geopolitical tensions are escalating across multiple fronts. At the same time, AI is accelerating faster than regulation can keep up, and the global financial system is being stretched in ways it wasn't designed to handle. Even veteran investors and analysts can no longer predict where the market will go next. But amidst all of this, Bitcoin has managed to hold steady. While everything else reacts, Bitcoin adapts. So in this video, Jack breaks down why Bitcoin continues to rise in times of crisis, what that tells us about the future of money, and why some believe society itself is showing signs of deeper structural failure. This is a true masterclass from one of the youngest OGs in the Bitcoin space, so ensure you watch to the end, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for the support, and let's get into it.
I mean, seeing tweets like this, like US government cancer data just dropped and overall cancers are up 6.4%, brain tumors are up 20%, it worries me. It worries me. It worries me, for my family, for my loved ones, but just for society as a whole. Because here's the thing, guys, like nobody goes out and wants to get sick. Nobody goes out and wants to die young. Nobody wants less family. Nobody wants less housing. Nobody wants less life. So the fact that this is a trend that's happening and something that we can be so confident isn't, purposeful or intentful from the people it's happening to, society has structural flaws. Obviously, I had to include that the tweets Trump rushed from stage as shots ring out. Political violence is another sign of a disordered society. Again, I'm done with the political stuff. I'm done with politics on this show. Obviously, if there's something to comment on, you guys know me. I'm going to speak my mind. But my point is, you guys we have attempts at the second highest level in the United States since the mid-1800s, which was the Civil War. You have all the signs and the makings of a society that's sick, that is structurally broken. You can't tell me whether it's obesity rates, whether it's lifespan expectancy, whether it's cancer rates, whether it's metabolic disease, whether it's political violence, whether it's general violence, whether it's attempts, whether it's suicide and whatever forms of self-harm, whether accidental overdoses or purposeful overdoses in young to middle-aged Americans. All of these are terrifying metrics. And at the end of the day, people will accuse a Bitcoiner and say, Bitcoin doesn't solve everything. Stop selling it as a silver bullet. Of course. Should there also be health podcasts? Yeah, of course. I'm no stranger to listening to some of these, whether it's Dr. Sean Baker or, the guys Joe Rogan will have on from time to time, learning a thing or two about the sauna, learning a thing or two about whatever type of health hacks. Of course, there should be health podcasts. There should be peace podcasts. I don't know. Bitcoin's not a silver bullet. But again, just a reminder of why at least I'm here. Because I think if you can fix the money, you can fix a lot of the world's problems. You can make a tremendous amount of progress. I think that we have distorted our ability to understand and relay value, to price each other's worth, to relate to each other. I mean, think about things like the wealth gap, how dividing that is for society, what it does for our conceptual understanding of how much we love or hate one another, how we value one another, where then we are raised, who we meet, how we think about family. I mean, it's all so fundamentally distorted from the basic sense that we can't freely share information of what is worth what is worth value, who is worth doing, none of that. And I will continue to pound that drum that I think we can build a better world by building a better money, period. And that's why I'm here in Las Vegas, just straight up. And I thought this was interesting. Shout out OnRamp for creating this graphic. I mean, Bitcoin outperforms in every crisis. I think the last 7, so you've got the US-Iran escalation, COVID outbreak, Russia invades Ukraine, US banking crisis, yen carry trade unwind, Trump's Liberation Day, and the Iran conflict, that original start to it, not the escalation that was in 2020. I mean, Bitcoin's outperformed in all of them. You know, people like to rag on Bitcoin like, oh, it's supposed to be a risk-off asset like gold, and it's actually trading more like tech. And I've said my piece on this. I think Bitcoin is some combination of technology plus fiat liquidity. It is technology. It is better technology. It does grow with traditional tech trends like growth of the network, growth of new addresses. So it is technology, but a lot of its price is actively driven by currency debasement and fiat liquidity. And so it kind of lives in this weird hybrid. And so it's not fair to compare Bitcoin strictly to gold. Gold's not technology. Gold can't have new features. No one's building new innovative businesses that disrupts, payments or prime brokerage services or lending. Like, no one's building anything new on gold. You can't submit a pull request to gold's GitHub repository. So it's not a fair comparison to compare Bitcoin to gold. It's also not a fair comparison to compare Bitcoin to NVIDIA. It's not a company. It's not a pure technology play with a cap table and a balance sheet. It's more like a commodity. And so at the end of the day, it's its own unique thing. Humans are going to waste a lot of time and effort trying to box it into something that it's just not. It's something like unequivocally new, straight up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And when you look at when, the world goes through crisis, Bitcoin wins. I mean, the fact that Bitcoin's pushing up against 80,000, hey, listen, I'm one of the guys that are like, man, surely the market's going to puke. Surely assets are going to get distressed if global supply chains start to fall apart. And here this thing is just chugging along. Now, that's not a price prediction. I've told you guys, I have no idea what the price is going to do. Neither does anyone else. If someone tells you they know the future, red flag. Nobody knows. But yeah, I mean, listen, Bitcoin is the most impressive technology I've seen invented in my lifetime. And I think it will continue to be. I know AI is cool and all. I think Bitcoin will be the most important invention of our lives.
Buy $10,000 of Bitcoin on a regular exchange. It grows to $60,000. That $50,000 profit? You could owe $10,000 or more in capital gains tax. Now do the same trade inside a Roth IRA with iTrustCapital. That growth? Tax-free. You keep the full $50,000. Same crypto. Completely different outcome. iTrustCapital lets you hold crypto in a self-directed IRA, trade 24/7, and secure your assets with institutional-grade custody. You can also hold gold, silver, and stake certain assets. Real U.S. customer support. $100 bonus when you fund through the link below. In crypto, structure beats timing. Every time. What Jack is pointing out here isn't just a price trend, it's a pattern. Across geopolitical conflicts, banking collapses, and global instability, Bitcoin hasn't behaved like traditional assets. It hasn't waited for permission, and it hasn't relied on central coordination. Instead, it's responded to the very forces that are destabilizing everything else: currency debasement, liquidity expansion, and a growing lack of trust in centralized systems. But he also makes something very clear. Bitcoin isn't just digital gold, and it's not just a tech stock either. It exists in a category of its own, a hybrid of technology and monetary evolution. And that uniqueness is exactly why so many people misunderstand it, and why so many critics keep getting it wrong. Which brings us to the next major concern people keep raising: the idea that Bitcoin could be threatened by something entirely different: quantum computing.
1 Bitcoin awarded for breaking a 15-bit ECC key with Shor's billed as a 512x jump on public quantum hardware. So just to take a step back, and I promise at some point I'll have the time to dive more specifically into quantum. TLDR, I think all of this is far overblown. Bitcoin is in a totally okay place. Of course, quantum theoretically is a threat, and of course, the Bitcoin community should work on it. But no one's refuting that it is theoretically a future threat, and Bitcoiners are working on it. I think the gravity of it being like an impending thing that can crash Bitcoin in the next few years is way overblown, totally misrepresented. And the fact that people say the Bitcoiners aren't valuing the idea of quantum and that the development community isn't thinking about it, isn't developing potential solutions, all of that's just a lie. So I've been around, Bitcoin soft forks, debates within the developer community. The developer community is doing great with quantum. There's tons of progress to point to. There's tons of different proposals. And on the quantum side, just for this episode, because I have to keep it short, the way I would explain it to the common man on the street is, quantum needs to be divided into 2 distinct categories. There's the software side of quantum, and there's the hardware side of quantum. The software side is making tons of progress, which is cool. At the end of the day, I'm not rooting against quantum. It's cool, okay? Now, what runs the software, quantum hardware, is so far behind, like so far behind. The software, by the way, isn't necessarily in a place that's dangerous either, but it is making progress, which is cool. But when I tell you like orders of magnitude to explain to the common man on the street, orders of magnitude behind. So combined, is quantum a near-term threat? No. Okay? So when I read this tweet and it says, they offered a Q-Day prize, 1 Bitcoin awarded for breaking a 15-bit ECC key with Shor's billed as a 512x jump on public quantum hardware. That's the key part, is it's billed as this massive 500x leap on quantum hardware. Okay? So you guys can understand the distinction. The hardware piece is the one that's behind. And this sold as like this massive leap. Okay? Then, I guess this guy, I don't know who this is. I'm not talking shit. I have no idea. I just know what was published, this bounty thing, and I think it was misleading. This guy swapped the quantum calls for a random number generator and got the same results. It gets worse. They had courted Google to be involved. He declined and expressly flagged this as a way it was likely going to end. They ran the comp anyway, picked a winner who fell straight into the predicted trap, and are now defending the results on X. The competition was meant to raise awareness about Q-Day. There have been amazing breakthroughs in the past 12 months, which should have been celebrated. Instead, they've torched their reputation. Again, I don't know if they've torched their reputation. I just know that this was really misleading, total waste of time. I think that the way the community is talking about quantum is misleading, inaccurate, arguably just factually false, and FUD, and waste of time. So this from Robin, Google quantum researcher. This is a quote. This guy, the Google guy, wrote a blog post. You guys should read it. But the quote is, the fact that Project 11 is boosting these results instead of shunning them has hugely damaged my perception of their credibility. And ultimately, listen, like decisions for Bitcoin of things like, should we freeze Satoshi's coins? I mean, that is arguably one of the most important decisions the Bitcoin project will ever make. That has serious implications for property rights. These decisions, it's not about people of course, anyone can speak their opinion. Say what you want about quantum, okay? Of course. But upselling these threats and misleading what is, the accurate state of the developer community addressing these things, there's plenty of really good proposals. Ultimately, as Bitcoin does, we need consensus. But there's so many ways for us to resolve these problems. Plenty of time. None of this is immediately threatening. I find it extremely dangerous that on a lot of these really critical points of like, do we freeze Satoshi's coins? What does that mean for property rights? That it's being pushed by some of these like bogus bounty narratives. It's stupid. It's a waste of time. And, you know, part of me was going to come in here, and you guys know how I get. I'm yelling, I'm cursing, I'm fired up. And I just think that sends the wrong message because it's so validating to all this nonsense. Like, it's not worth the time. So anyway, grind my gears is just the FUD, man.
Yes, quantum computing is advancing. Yes, it presents a theoretical risk. But the key word here is theoretical. The hardware required to actually pose a real threat is still orders of magnitude behind where it would need to be. And more importantly, the Bitcoin developer community is already aware of it and actively working on solutions. This is something most people miss about Bitcoin. It's not static, it evolves, it upgrades, it adapts through consensus. And while headlines might try to create urgency or fear, the reality is far more measured. There is time, there is progress, and there is no immediate existential threat. We're not just talking about technology. We're talking about a world where economic systems feel increasingly unstable, where societal metrics, from health to inequality to political tension, are flashing warning signs. As Jack laid out earlier, these aren't isolated problems. They're symptoms of something deeper, a system that may no longer be functioning the way it was designed to. And in that kind of environment, Bitcoin isn't just an asset, it becomes a signal. A signal that people are looking for something more stable, more transparent, and more resilient. Venture capitalist Tim Draper recently issued a stark warning. He said, if you don't have Bitcoin, you should be worried. Not just casually worried, you should be very worried. While speaking at a Bitcoin conference recently, Draper said he believes families need 6 months of Bitcoin reserves to be assured that they can survive whatever disruption is heading our way. Draper even pointed to the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank as a modern reminder that trust in traditional finance can disappear overnight. And if that's the case, what exactly are you holding on to if you don't have Bitcoin? So whether you agree with it or not, one thing is becoming harder to ignore: Bitcoin isn't going away. And in times like these, it might just be one of the few things that isn't breaking. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching.